So, it being 7 o'clock, we've got an agenda item starting at 7:05. So we have to wait on that, correct?
Hmm?
The 7:05, we have to wait to start
Right.
until 7:05. And then we do have Carol Decker joining us on or about 7:30. That's West Newbury Wild and Native.
Right.
Great.
I'm not so sure how long the common driveway is going to take, but I had to tell Carol something because I didn't want her waiting around too long. So we'll fill in as we go through this if it's quicker than 7:30, correct?
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
Great.
You do have lots of minutes.
Yeah. Do you want to stop minutes for 5 minutes? I don't know. Do you want to do that?
This
We
is-
probably
they were-
knock one out anyway.
they were relatively short.
Okay,
whatever.
take the best one and knock it out.
Well, I
Feel
would,
free.
the one at the top of the list is March 18th. Did anyone have any changes?
I do have one little change.
And what's that?
On the top of page 2, this is a continuation of a paragraph with Mr. Conrad's concerns. The last sentence of that paragraph says, he disagrees with the results of the traffic report and the estimates for the number of school children. That should be Mr. Conrad disagrees. The last subject was Cook. So
Oh, okay.
to appear that Cook disagrees with that stuff.
Well,
All right.
can't have anybody be confused there, Ray.
That's right. I don't disagree with the results of the traffic report. Mr. Conrad does.
Yeah.
Okay, I've got it.
Good.
Move we accept the minutes as amended.
Second.
All in favor?
Ray Cook, aye.
Deb Hamilton, I.
Brian Murphy, aye.
Rob Phillips, aye. Unanimous, 4 votes. Do you want to move on to another one?
April 15th, they're quick ones.
Good.
Did anyone have any changes?
No.
No.
Okay.
Move to accept the minutes of April 15th as drafted.
Second.
All in favor?
Ray Cook, aye.
Deb Hamilton, I.
Brian Murphy, aye.
Rob Phillips, aye. Unanimous. Thank you.
April 22nd, they're another relatively short one.
Go for it.
Any changes?
I don't have it here.
Hearing none?
Move we-
So,
I
Accept-
move to accept the meeting minutes of April 22nd, 2024 as drafted.
Second.
all in favor?
Ray Cook, aye.
Deb Hamilton, I.
Brian Murphy, aye.
Rob Phillips, aye. Unanimous. Okay, let's let it lay there because I think we're coming up on 7:05, so we can get started right away.
Good job getting the minutes worked on. Thank you.
That
Yes.
was good.
Yeah,
Hope
it
we
was
go-
it's satisfying catching up.
So I'm gonna claim this to be 7:05. Is there any dissent to that?
Go ahead.
So
Mr.
it's 7,
Verizon
it's
disagrees.
officially 7:05 right now.
There
I'm
you
in, I'm in the west end of P Town, so it's 7:05 here.
A different time zone.
Different little, yeah, it's a little bit off down here. So help me all, we're taking up again the common driveway application,
Yes.
and we're expecting to take action right now tonight if things look good to us.
Right, I can give you a little background.
Yes, please, Katrina.
Okay, So at the last meeting, the board
Oh.
decided they want,
But I should note for the record that at the last meeting on May 20th, I was unable to attend. I have since listened to and watched the recording of said meeting, and I filed the appropriate paperwork known as the Mullen release or whatnot, and with the town planner. So I am now I can vote on this application, should we
Right,
decide to vote.
Okay,
And I presume that all four of us are able to vote tonight if we come to it.
let me double check that. So this was discussed. May 20th and June 17th. On May 20th, were you already sworn in, Rob?
Yep,
Okay, good.
so we're good.
Yep.
Okay,
Um,
So-
so
go
for
ahead.
the background, at the last meeting, you all decided to have Meridian review, not the complete application, but just the pervious pavers that were proposed on each side of the existing driveway so that it would make a 20-foot driveway width. Meridian did review it, and John Tilton from Williams and Sprague's turned it around in a day and responded to it and added the changes to the plan, which I believe he has up right here. I will
actually-
note too, in the decision, I have they had asked for several waivers, and I removed the first waiver, which was for the 20-foot required travel width, because now they're meeting that 20-foot width.
Yeah, I've got a question on the widths. How did it, was it 20 foot? And I couldn't hear that in the meeting. Was that because it's in the standards? Why wasn't it made 18, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Well, that was the fire chief wanted 20-foot width.
Well, we just approved a part of a common driveway over on Middle Street, and it was less than 20 feet. So I'm a little confused here.
I believe it was in the chief's letter, if I don't have it in our packet this month. John, can you explain that?
Yeah, I'm gonna look for it here. So I had several conversations with the fire chief, and he originally, he wanted 20 feet wide. We talked pavement, but gravel on each side. So the existing driveway is about 12 feet
Right.
plus or minus paved there. And he said he'd be happy to widen it 20 feet, 4 feet. There you go, on each side. Maybe 3 feet, 6 feet of gravel, engineered gravel, so he could get a truck back out of there, and we agreed to that. But then the owners decided that they'd like to keep the character look of the driveway, and if we use the True Grid, we can allow grass to go through, but it's engineered pavers,
Right.
and we provided a document to that, and if Meridian agreed that they're okay with us using that in place of gravel or with pavement. So it keeps the look of the driveway as pretty much as it is now. I think you've seen pictures of it. So
yeah,
I went by there recently. Yes.
yeah,
I think the fire chief, I remember in his email, he was more worried about ruining the landscaping if they brought a truck down there.
right.
Well,
If-
you also
if-
don't want a wheel to go off the pavement and then the truck end up being stuck.
That's
Right.
correct.
Right.
That's correct.
So that the True Grid should work. And I remember we were concerned, and the reason we asked for the engineering review is because we wanted to make sure that it was specified that there was a sufficient foundation here
Yes.
to support the True Grid. The True Grid all by itself, just put down on dirt's not going to work.
Right. Right.
So now we got the 6-inch compacted stone
mm-hmm,
and reference to the, technical documentation.
So I guess this is a question for the board. I mean, typically when we've done common driveways in the past, it's less than 20 feet. And I'm not sure, are we setting some new standard here, or we usually want less is better. And,
Yeah, I think, Brian, just speaking for myself, that, for, especially with this kind of system, I mean, 20 feet is good because then you can have two truck-like vehicles pass each other, one going in, one going out. And this common driveway is long enough that that's a concern. We've had other common driveways that are just very short, and, one could come in and the other could go out. But in this common driveway with its length here, I think you do have to allow for vehicles to pass each other.
yeah, I mean, I just, and I'm fine with it. I understand with the pervious, not the pervious, but the specialty pavers, the benefit that will accrue. I'm just kind of reminding the board that in the past, applications such as 87 Main Street, I don't believe are a 20-foot common driveway, and that's up a hill.
Yeah.
So,
But how are they constructed? As Ray said, this is a little bit different application. So you alluded to appearance earlier, and this thing won't appear to be 20 feet wide.
well, it will for a couple of years, but
Well,
I've used these before.
Yeah.
It'll take some time.
Okay. Can I just say, we've, in other projects, the fire department always requests 20 feet wide for a truck to get, fire truck to get through. So we have to deal with that. This is the one case where he was willing to keep the 12 feet of pavement, and he was too great of eventually, like, take
Right.
a couple of years. So
Right.
if you let me share my screen, I can share the driveway if you want. Sure.
Yeah, I appreciate what you're saying, Brian. And we don't want to accidentally set a precedent.
Yeah, that's my point. Just that
Yeah.
we're we've typically tried to make do with less.
Yeah. I think it's a case by case deal.
Yeah.
you know?
Okay. Well, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah. I mean, again, if you got a short section of common driveway, then I think we get by with the lesser width.
Okay. I have one other question here, probably for the engineer. There's a utility pole that you see right. If you go back to that picture.
Get it. Oops.
Easier said than done. I know.
Yeah. Here it is. This one here.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's utility pole there, and I think there's another one further up on the right, past
There
that
is, right.
series of bushes.
Yeah.
Where does that come into the? It's probably on the plan. I must say I didn't pick it up on the plan, but
I'm seeing them both on the plan, Brian, and they're both just beyond. They're on the outside of the 20-foot path.
okay, and it's not near the new turn in for the new residence.
Well, one is kind of near the new turn in, but it's still inside that curve. Yeah, you can see it right there.
Okay, so, but it's I thought it might be right. Okay, so it's going to remain in place.
Right. It's right. Correct. Right there.
I did not walk. I just saw I did not take the liberty of walking up the driveway when I was out there.
Yeah.
And I think we've all know just how much they charge to move a pole.
Yes, I was
That's
just
true.
wondering.
Right.
It's a huge deal.
Well, it's not only the charge, but it's whenever they decide they want to show up. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. I'm good. Okay, thank you.
Okay, anything else then?
Well, I think we should just go over the Meridian's comments and the engineer's response to them.
I could just put up Williams and Sprague's responses because I think he actually
I think they referenced it.
included Meridian's comments.
Sure.
Sounds good.
That'd
Right.
be fine.
Right.
Can everyone see that?
Yep,
Uh, I, a little larger would be helpful. Good, thank you.
Okay, John, do you want to go through your responses to each comment?
Yeah, I kind of summarized this, but I can, I'll go through it. So comment one was that, Meridian had no objection to the use of TrueGrid, but proper sub-base installation and, oversight, be done. So I added the information to the plans on the detail sheet, which is sheet 2, and I added notes on the plan indicating that, referencing your comment about, oversight of installation and the details, they asked for.
Mhm.
That's on sheet 2. Comment 2 was they wanted, to verify so that TrueGrid could be cut, because it does come in sheets so wide, and I did find a spec that they can be cut. It explains how to cut them and how they are locked together. I provided that as well. Went right to the website. They actually have video how it's done. So I satisfied comment 2 with the submittal of the additional information.
Yep.
Okay. So comment 3 was the driveway by the house isn't dimensioned. Please include spot grade. So I did dimension it. It's 20 feet wide. I'd added 100 spot elevation and a 101 spot elevation to the center of the driveway. If you can see that.
Was that it?
Yeah, there are a couple more, I think.
Couple more,
Oh,
yeah.
I'm sorry.
Okay. So at the entrance, there is a 12-inch drain pipe that runs across the driveway. We didn't have that originally because we couldn't find the other side. It was buried. But I found a Christian's plan, an older plan that had shown an as-built location that does go into the driveway. So I added that to the plan. It's at the very bottom as you come in off Pleasant Street, the driveway. So I do
Yeah.
show that in the plan now.
Can I ask, is locating the other outlet to that part of your work plan here? And do you know if the Concom had noted that?
I think I don't remember what they asked for, but we found a plan that it showed where it was. We know one side, we knew what exactly sure it was on the other side, but I can provide that plan for you if you want, but it's a plan that shows the last location. It's quite an older plan. It shows that when the driver was put in where that pipe is, and we just referenced that. It's referenced on my plan as well.
I'm a little concerned here. So you're gonna do all this driveway work without a functioning culvert?
Yeah, that's where I'm at, especially in today's, extreme rain events, and this is a chance to fix something.
Yeah, and you've got 2 swampy areas that this driveway kind of divides.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's not there. I mean, our surveyors were in there and they located one side. The other side was deep and at the time, leaf, brush, and stuff like that. So they didn't locate the other side.
Okay, so but we have an existing, I'm looking at the plans. You have an existing 24-inch concrete culvert with inverts at 95 to the south and 94 to the north. So
Right,
so the wetlands are connected,
right.
and you don't expect to have to do any work with that culvert.
No, it's actually it's operating. The only thing we have to do is when we put the water line in is to work around that culvert.
All right. Somebody do me a favor. Just tell me you're gonna take your eyeball that culvert, make sure it's clear and open.
Right.
You could also add a condition on the plan. For future maintenance.
Thank you, Katrina. I would like to add a condition that that culvert be cleared and maintained.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. So
I always worry about a pipe that daylights the 12-inch existing concrete culvert without knowing where that other end is, but it's a place for animals to get stuck. But
Would you call it the culvert along the frontage?
Well, no, I'd call it, I'd use the same language the engineer uses, the existing 12-inch concrete culvert, but the one that would be in the condition would be the existing 24-inch.
24-inch.
Yeah, and it's not actually along the frontage, it's set back quite a bit.
Okay.
Yeah, see if I can eyeball a dimension here. I'd say the existing culvert is back about 60 feet,
Right.
60 to 80 feet from the frontage.
So the existing 24-inch concrete culvert shall be cleaned and maintained regularly or annually?
Well, it should be inspected and cleaned if
Excuse me.
necessary.
As
That's,
necessary.
yeah.
I don't think we
Can
can
I-
put a condition on
jump in real quick?
maintenance.
Can I jump in real quick? This is
Sure.
Matthew George.
Yeah,
Both those 24-inch culverts that are on our property, I can walk through.
Ah,
They're very clear.
you can walk through them?
Well, not upright, but
Crawl.
Crawl.
Right. Right.
I'm
Crawl.
deceivingly small.
So all right, so now I'm
I'm
confused.
just saying they're very clear right now. They have about maybe 6 inches of water at the most at the bottom of them and nothing else.
Well, I only see one existing 24-inch culvert.
Right. There's a 12-inch down the road by the entrance.
That's the one that you just referenced. We could not be sure of one end was.
That's correct. They
And
didn't.
the
Yeah,
brambles
I'm not
and
sure
stuff.
how hard they looked for the other end. They just were looking for
Right.
it. So
Right, so I think we're talking about the 12-inch.
No, the
Culvert.
24-inch one that's 60 feet from the property line. Roughly 60 feet.
Yes,
Yep.
but the one in
That's the
question
one I'm
here
referring
is
to.
the 12-inch at the front of the property.
that's the one that Meridian referenced. That's
Yeah.
the one they asked about, the 12-inch at the front.
So Katrina, the condition should in fact reference the 12-inch at the front of the property.
You can say both culverts maybe.
Yeah, okay.
All right, both concrete culverts need to be inspected and cleaned as necessary.
Yes,
There you go.
good.
thank you.
You could say both existing concrete culverts.
Okay.
The word existing, I think, helps.
We
here.
don't want to include imaginary concrete culverts.
No, no.
Well, and we also don't want anybody to think they're putting in a new culvert. That's not part of this plan. And also,
Okay. Can we continue on comment 5?
Sure. Meridian, add the water service size and type, which so it's 1.25 copper. I labeled that in the plan. It may to be approved by the Western Grade Water Department
Yep.
too. Number 6, add pavement cross section and water trench detail. I did that to sheet 2. That's provided. 7, add details for Pleasant Street water connection and payment cut limits. So I did show the a detail of the water connection and just about approximately the water location. I'm not exactly sure. It's to be located prior to construction by the water department to be marked out. So we don't know exactly how deep the cut will be, but
No problem. It's,
there'll
they
be a
do it.
ballpark for that.
Yep.
And the last comment was to sheets 1 and 2. I didn't label the sheets 1. I just had them no number. So sheet 1 of 2 and sheet 2 of 2 have been labeled.
Good. Sounds terrific. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So next. Are we pretty satisfied?
I think, so. Are we ready to approve it?
Well, I think we should review the decision.
Okay. And the decision changes a little bit now because of what we just said?
Oh, we got to add the condition.
Right.
Well, and that's it. So what I propose is that I sent you a red line copy today. I updated it with all the public hearings that have been added to it, the new dates on the plans, the new information that came in is listed. I've handwritten on mine the condition, and what I can do is send it out to the board when it's finished. I mean, you can actually make your motions tonight, and if you change the motion at all from what is written, I can change it as I go. Unless you have a better way of doing it.
Yeah, I think we've done this in the past. We can take the vote tonight.
The most important part is the motions and the vote, and so you have several motions to make. You want to vote on the waivers, that's on page 3, and I can put it up on the screen if
Right,
that's
would you please? Yeah,
okay.
thank you.
Okay, so the first thing you would want to do is vote on the waivers, and someone needs to make a motion.
Yeah, we need to, we're not, nothing's being shared.
Oh,
Not-
that's because I didn't hit this button over here yet.
We're all
There
getting
you
back
go.
to this.
There you go.
Okay.
And maybe just pump it up one more.
All right.
My notebook can see it. If we can. Maybe I can do that.
I wonder what the average age
I've,
is.
never mind, I've got it bigger, that's fine.
Okay.
Don't go there, Ray.
Okay,
Thank you.
yeah.
So, Katrina, you with us
Oh.
now?
I am. I'm still
There
trying
you
to,
go.
you know,
So
I
what
wrestle with
7
this.
waivers is now 6. They will be appropriately renumbered.
Oh, sorry, I'm using Google Docs, and so it isn't renumbering it here.
That's fine. I saw it on your draft that you sent out.
Right.
Yeah,
And so either the chairman can entertain a motion to accept the waivers, and you can actually go through and read them, or someone can actually make the motion and just go through and read the motion, the waivers that are left here.
well, I'll make the motion that we accept these 6 waivers as written and as we're viewing them on the screen.
Yep, that's fine. Yep. Second.
So any further discussion on the waivers?
Just for the record, we've got driveway cross slope, 6-inch paved surface, minimum distance to existing trees, for the 50-foot right-of-way, pavement layers and sub-base gravel, and the bituminous berm. So these are the requirements that we are waiving.
So any further discussion? Do you want to vote?
Yep.
Go ahead.
Has the motion been made and seconded?
Yes,
Yes.
motion was made and
Ray
seconded.
Cook votes aye.
Deb Hamilton, aye.
Brian Murphy, aye.
Rob Phillips, aye. Unanimous?
Okay, now do we approve it in specific now?
And now you're moving on to the findings that you have to make for approving this. And so can everyone see that? They're A through E. And you can add whatever language you want to this. This is what I suggested, but feel free to change it.
I would just, I would say acting chairperson, Rob Phillips. And if you're calling for that motion, Rob,
I'm calling for a motion, yep.
I will make the motion.
So Ray
That,
Cook makes the motion.
Yes, that the proposal in front of us does demonstrate the following criteria. That the specific site is appropriate location for the use or structure, that the use developed will not adversely affect the neighborhood, that there will not be an undue nuisance or serious hazard to vehicles or pedestrians, and adequate and appropriate facilities will be provided to ensure the proper operation of the proposed use, structure, or condition, that the proposed use or structure will be in harmony with the general purpose of this bylaw, and that the requested use will not overload any public water drainage or any other municipal system to such an extent that the requested use or I think we're missing a little bit of language there.
Or any, what?
Yeah. We're
Will
missing just,
not overload any. It's there.
Yeah, it's all there.
It's
Public
right.
water, drainage, or any other municipal system.
Yeah,
there you go. So we'll just delete that little bit then.
Oh, there's a little,
There's a
I
little
see.
tail there. There's a little
There's a-
tail there.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
a, there's a,
So
yes,
that's my motion that we find
Yep,
that this is appropriate for a special permit.
yep, yep, yep. And the motion has been seconded.
I'll second it.
So it's been seconded. Any further discussion?
No,
So there's no, well, Ray has determined that there's no further discussion, so let's
no,
go
no,
to.
just for my part, there's no.
No, well, I think you're speaking for all of us. So, are we ready to vote?
Yes,
Yes,
Okay. And of course, you'll change, the thing down below where it says voted 5-0 in favor of the motion.
Yes.
Great. So, all in favor?
Ray Cook, aye.
Deb Hamilton, I.
Brian Murphy, aye.
Rob Phillips, aye. It's unanimous. Thank you.
And now you vote on the actual decision. Now that you've gotten the waivers granted and you've done your findings, now is when you make your decision. And this is where you can add the condition that both existing concrete culverts need to be inspected and cleaned as necessary.
Can you scroll down?
Oh, sorry.
Thank you. Thanks.
So
So,
those
yes.
conditions will be entered in here on the final document, correct, Katrina?
Right, so I
Yeah,
will be
yeah,
putting
right
that
there.
condition right here. And so this
Yeah.
is all you need to do is motion to issue the special permit.
I'll make the motion that we issue this special permit with the condition that the existing concrete culverts be inspected and cleaned if necessary.
Second.
So, by the way, when we say cleaned if necessary, are we talking about from now and forevermore?
No,
Aren't we?
I don't think so. I don't think that we can impose that sort of condition.
Okay, I'm just asking.
Yeah, because that would require, I don't know. You'd have to have some sort of an agreement drawn up and.
Yeah. So is everybody comfortable with that?
Yep,
Okay.
I think it's, I mean, yeah, I
Yeah,
think
you've raised the point. You've raised the point. Everybody took the point. I agree with Ray that additional stuff would be needed in order to really do it.
right.
Right.
I think
Right.
the applicant and
Right,
the other
right.
property owner will,
They're conscientious. Yeah, they're good people, so they'll
Yes.
take care of it.
yes.
So, I'm sorry, Ray made the motion. We had a second by Deb, correct?
yep,
No, any further discussion?
no,
Calling for a vote?
Ray Cook, aye.
Deb Hamilton, I.
Brian Murphy, aye.
Rob Phillips, aye. It's unanimous.
And that's it.
So we're
Terrific.
done.
So what I will do is draft this up. I'll have it done by lunch tomorrow, and then you're all gonna have to come visit the office in the next week or so to sign this.
Is it gonna be down by the door or in the office?
Wherever you want it, we could put it down near the door, but you're welcome to come up and say hi also.
Okay,
Yeah, and by the way, what are Jen's hours?
She works the normal working hours.
Yeah, so is that a place where it could be since she's
It
open?
could be, but sometimes people work late and then they could swing by because the front vestibule is always open.
Okay, whatever you guys are used to.
we're used to that.
I think we'd prefer it in the front vestibule.
Yes,
Do it the way you like it.
That and people can wander up as they may wish or time allows
right.
to say hello.
Katrina, remind us what your typical hours are.
7 to 3, Monday through Wednesday.
Thank you.
And then I've got 4 extra floating hours for night meetings or coming in on a Thursday meeting, etc.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Great.
this we should look to have this signed by when?
Oh, well, if I could interject,
Yeah.
I'll be returning on Friday afternoon, not this coming Friday, but the Friday after. So unfortunately,
There's
I'm
no
not,
rush. There's no
Okay.
rush.
good.
You actually haven't even closed the public hearing, so realistically, you don't even have a deadline. That's something that in the future you may want to think about doing, is closing your public hearing before you vote on the decision. You don't have to. But as you recall from the March 18th public hearing, you can close it, and then the public shouldn't be allowed to speak anymore, and then you can talk about and
Right,
decision
right,
amongst
right.
yourselves.
Right.
That is what starts the clock, is closing the public hearing.
Okay, but I'm just, forgive me, because it's been a number of years. The thing I was most concerned about was I don't want to hold up the applicants by not getting back in time. So that was my real reason for saying how late I would be getting back to town.
So, okay, so that's right, and you're the acting chairperson too. I was going to say the board could vote to authorize you to sign on their behalf.
Can't we have the secretary sign on my behalf?
If you vote, you can have someone else sign.
Right.
There's no hard and fast law
Right,
on who signs
right.
it. In
So-
fact, in the past, I saw that the town planner signs it, but I would be
Right.
more comfortable if one of you signed it.
Yeah, so I would really like to sign it and be done with it if the rest of the board agrees, so that it's in place. I think that would be appropriate.
Well, I'd be happy to sign it and initial it or whatever is appropriate. When I sign for me, I could sign for you.
Are we saying you could submit this with 3 signatures?
No,
I'm
with,
not-
with one signature.
One signature for the
listed
board.
who voted in the decision
Right.
itself.
I see.
We just need to
Um,
attest, that's why I mentioned Ray as secretary, because you know, in a lot of places, the secretary would be responsible for maintaining such items, but
Yeah, I'd rather have people sign individually. I think a special permit, I'm not sure that we haven't heard a hardship case here as to
if they're in a rush.
why
yeah,
this
right.
needs, you
Well,
know.
they can speak to that more better than any of us can,
But
so.
typically we have always adhered to having the board members sign documents
Okay.
individually.
So I'll sign it when I'm back in town. If there's no rush.
Well, should the owners of the property speak?
They
now?
should, they should.
You want to
Can
authorize?
you,
We can wait a week, no problem.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm
thank
talking,
you, though.
I'm
We
talking,
appreciate your consideration.
I'm talking about Friday, that's like 11 days away.
No problem. We waited a long time for this, so what's
Thank you.
another 11 days?
Thank
It
you,
was
thank you very
submitted in
much.
February.
but,
Thank you very much.
and Rob, I just want to say that I agree with you. This is also the sort of thing I'm concerned about as well. for
Right,
people. So I'm glad you
Right.
considered that. Yeah.
we should always know who comes first, but let's, since they're being so kind to us, I'll make sure that the Friday we return after the 4-hour drive, I'll hightail it and make sure that I make that signing.
Well, yeah, unfortunately, I think, Katrina, doesn't his signature need to be notarized?
No,
Not on this?
no,
Oh, in that case, not a problem.
no.
Okay.
Okay. Out in the vestibule, I think town office will be closed by the time.
Yeah,
you're there.
so I'll arrange it. Don't worry about it. We'll arrange it somehow. you know.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll take care of it. Thank you. So we done with this? We keeping the public hearing open? What's the deal?
Can I move to close the public hearing?
Second,
Any further discussion? Hearing none.
Ray Cook,
Um,
aye?
Deb Hamilton, I.
Ryan Murphy, aye.
Rob Phillips, aye. It's unanimous. Are we good?
Yep.
Thank you
Okay.
very much, everybody.
Thank
Thank
you.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Take care.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Good luck.
Right, thank you.
Okay, so I'm wondering,
Is Carol here?
is Carol here?
Yes.
I'm here.
Hello,
Cool.
Carol.
Carol Decker.
Hello,
Wow.
hello.
In the flesh. How are you?
I am good, thank you.
So, does anybody need an introduction, or Carol, you want to kick it off yourself? Katrina, you want to say anything ahead of Carol?
Well, I have met Carol. She came to the office, and I was very impressed. And I think I was telling you, Rob, when I went to Montana last week, I was talking to my daughter because she has a big garden about maybe taking some of her plants home, and I was thinking, what am I doing?
Right, right. Wrong
Montana.
plants, wrong plant. Yeah.
Good for you,
So I
Katrina.
think you have an important message.
Well,
And
yeah,
I
I
think
mean,
the planning
I
board will
just
be
think
interested.
for the record, we should explain
The background, the
why
background
we've
here,
invited Carol here today.
the background here came from Major Boyd and the issues of getting to the end of a project and then discussing how we would finish a planned garden at the turnaround there, at the end of the cul-de-sac, and it took me back to well, actually before any of you were on the board, and I wasn't on the board when we went through a similar thing at Cortland, and so 30 years later, we're getting to a point where people are developing better planting plans and better utility of native plants, et cetera. That's going on in town right now, and you see it in bits and fits and starts, but it's a movement, and it's like Al Guthrie said, it's like now we have a movement of moving to native plants. We also have people that are specializing in how to do plantings and what designs there could be. So Carol is here to just take you through the work that West Newbury Wild and Native has been doing over the past several years. By the way, weren't you all named as Citizen of the Year one year? Was that
We
your?
were.
You were.
Yeah.
So this is going on, and truthfully, Brian, the real thing that struck me is when we know we're going to have plantings, when we know that we're going to want trees, I actually think that it's better to have some sense in place of what we're going to be asking people to do. And I will tell you that what you probably want to end up having people do is probably not what was eventually done down at Major Boyd. So I think it's actually an example of where improvements could be made and how we approach plantings on stuff we're involved in. So I'll shut up. Thank you.
Can I jump in here real quick?
Yes.
And then I want to hear Carol's input here, but just like we did for the stone walls and whatnot, and I think that it'd be nice if by the end of this, in a few months, by the end of the year, we sort of have a policy that we put up on the website, giving guidance to people that are considering doing plans, and referring them to the wild and native folks, and yeah, some language there that everybody can see up front even before they come to us in the first place.
Right. And
Okay.
one other note on Major Boyd, and Katrina, I think, can speak to this, but the fellow went down to Northeast Nurseries, which is really a huge conveyor. It sells to a lot of developers. They have their own location separate from the retail location, and he came back all enthused to find out how good natives were. Didn't he come in kind of impressed by the whole thing, and it was an eye opener to him. So we're just looking to have some education on this right now.
Yeah, and maybe some draft language.
Good.
Carol.
Well, thank you for the invite. It's wonderful to be here and start this important process. And let me just say, so my background, I was with Mass Audubon for 29 years as a former director of the Ipswich River Wildlife Sanctuary in Topsfield. And we moved here in 2017 and became active in town and was part of the municipal vulnerability planning process. And Nancy Powell was there, and Nancy and I had worked together previously on different projects. And so one of the things that came out was invasive plants, that residents were very concerned about invasive plants. And that should be part of the planning. And so we talked a little bit, and we ended up putting together a PowerPoint for the garden club on invasive plants. It was really well received. Well, we then started talking as 2020, and we had read Doug Tallamy's book, Nature's Best Hope. Incredible book about the power and the need for native plants and sort of the relationships that we have really forgotten over the years. And so we started talking about putting together a group, talked to Patricia Reeser and Linda Schaefer and Annie Madden and Deb Hamilton, and lots of folks came together and formed what's now known as West Newbury Wild and Native. So we put together a website. We've done programs consistently for the last 5 years, educating about native plants. And, one of the things, we came in and talked with Katrina, and, part of the education is why native plants? It's when we went to Pentucket, when we were behind, unfortunately, I wish we had had more years of being in the front process of Pentucket. But even then, it was explaining what are native plants. These are the plants that were here prior to colonization. All of our meadows and fields would have been filled with plants that were named Joe Pye weed and milkweed and butterfly weed and ironweed. And Linnaeus didn't name them that. He had a binomial system, and he gave them these beautiful Latin names. But if we go back to colonial times, so many of those plants were our colonists. It was hard work. They needed to feed their animals. They needed to have gardens of squash and beans and tomatoes. And these other things were in the way. And so we also then wanted plants from England and France, from Asia. And we started bringing in all of these non-native plants. And we started getting rid of all of our native plants, and everything was beautiful. And then we had our first development of an urban community, Levittown on Long Island. And that helped the soldiers coming back when we took all of these potato farms and put in a first urban development. By that time, the Golf Association was working with our USDA, and they came up with turf grass, which is a species from Europe, Hoa pratensis. And we then started putting turf grass everywhere. Now we have 44 million acres of turf grass. That's our lawns, the size of New England in lawns. And unfortunately, what's happened is we are in a biodiversity crisis because we've lost our native plants. You go down our streets, you go down so many of our roads, we have lots of the invasive multiflora rose, we have autumn olive, and then we fill our yards with non-natives, these cultivated species. What we forgot is that our insects can't eat our cultivated species. So our insects are in terrific decline. We know the monarch, but the monarch's just one of these species. Our lightning bugs. If you remember as kids, if you went on vacation, your windshields would have been splattered with bugs. That doesn't happen anymore. I did a program for Cape Ann this morning, and I brought that up, and all of a sudden you could just see the light bulb of, you're right, where are all the insects? Well, they have nothing to feed on because they can't feed on ornamentals. We forgot the hundreds of thousands of years of coevolution of plants evolving and changing their flowers for specific insects, like our spice bush. The black swallowtail butterfly will actually, the spicebush swallowtail butterfly will only lay its eggs. Its caterpillars are only formed on the spicebush and magnolias. If we don't plant them, they don't exist. And that's what's happening to all these species. That's why native plantings are vital. And you think, here we are in West Newbury, where we have all of these, our farms, we have orchards, 90% of all of our crops, everything is insect pollinated. And you might have some apples, but imagine if you had native bees, you would have lots of pollination going on. So, even as kids, we all learned about honeybees, but we never really took time to learn about the bumblebees and the mining bees and the cellophane bees. These are our major pollinators that we've really got to educate about. And so that's what we're trying to do with WN2 and doing more hands-on programs and getting people outdoors. So we have a wonderful garden now at the library that we worked with the Gulf of Maine Institute with, GOMI, and John Terry, one in the library, excuse me, one at the town hall, and of course, Pipes Day. Those are really little, but more important is any new project, even for our town, is to start saying, we need natives. Any new plantings will be native in town for our town. Somerville has now have an ordinance for native planting, and there are more that are coming. Carlisle's very interested. Some of the ones on the Cape are starting to look at native plants. So, oh, good. Yes, the native planting ordinance from Somerville. So, you know, it's starting to look at what can we do on town properties, and then eventually moving off to when we have new developments, can we suggest, you know, here are the natives. Why natives? And you think about climate change, to be resilient, here are natives that have roots that go down 12 inches, 18 inches, 24 inches. So they're the ones that continue to evolve, and they're the ones that can fight this climate change. They can survive it. So, Ray.
Yeah, from a legal point of view, or say to pin it down, when you're doing documents, engineering documents and whatnot, can we define native? Is there a good definition of native that people can use to know which are native?
Absolutely. Yeah, there are, and we have one on our website, which is basically the plants that have been growing in our area prior to European settlement.
Okay.
And that's really important because, you know, if we take just a common native like Echinacea purpurea, the purple coneflower, you know, that plant has a wide range. It could grow in Florida.
Yeah.
And I could go down to my niece and I could say, hey, you got that Echinacea, let me bring it up here. But like Katrina said, even though it can grow in Florida, that plant that I brought up from Florida doesn't have the same DNA as the one up here. Ours have survived winter.
Yeah.
So we want something in our ecotype, which is 59.
Yeah.
We
Yeah,
are the
so-
northeastern highlands that run from Portland all the way down into New York. Those are the best plants because they have co-evolved with the soils,
Yep.
the climate,
totally-
all of that.
I get it all. I'm just wondering if there's, let's say I'm a developer and
Oh, yeah.
I'm totally on board with the concept. And I just don't want to take somebody's word for it because they
Yeah.
might not understand it. So I'm just hoping that there's a resource or something that could be referenced in some
Tons
sort
of
of
research.
document where you can actually look up the Latin names and know that you got the right animal there. So to speak.
Absolutely. And you know, that's a really important because if you go to a lot of our nurseries, they will have displays of natives. But
That
if
aren't
you
right.
look at them,
Yeah.
most of them are cultivars.
Yeah.
So a cultivated plant, you know, they'll take, again, if we use purple coneflower, they'll have purple coneflower, Echinacea purpurea, sunbeam. And sunbeam will be in single quotes. And that is a cultivated Echinacea purpurea because what they've done is they've changed it. They've cultivated it.
Yeah.
Those are then, so I could say, hey, Deb has that plant. I want the exact one of Deb. And I can go to the nursery and get it because, you know, they will use either a cutting from the plant, they will use cells from the plant. And, you know, those are not genetically diverse.
Yeah,
So as
I don't
things
mean to be a
change-
cynic, but
Yeah.
you know, it's like greenwashing and other things like that. Even people with the right intentions sometimes don't understand what a native plant is. And
Right.
and I'm concerned that whatever we come up with as a policy, or even better yet, some sort of future bylaw or whatever, that we nail that down.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that people are getting
Yeah.
the right stuff.
Yeah.
Where-
And
where
you
does
know, it
one
gets a
get
little
that?
even more confusing, Ray. There's Mount Cuba has done lots of, and are continuing to do lots of research on cultivars. And there are some cultivars that have been changed for height, and those may not be bad. So Yeah, Brian.
Yeah, so, go ahead. Yes, Brian.
So, you know, how does one tell a developer, um, you know, you have to use this particular purple coneflower as opposed to that purple coneflower, and is there a significant cost issue, because that is always what it comes back to, and availability. How does that work?
Our luckily our native plants are becoming more available. We have where we have gotten lots of plants for the garden club sale, and I think last year, boy, we brought down 400 and some plants. Is a nursery up in Warner, New Hampshire, Bagley Pond. She has beautiful plants. We have another place out in north in Western Mass that has natives. There's another one that's just starting up here in West Newbury, hummingbird natives. So there are more and more places, and I just heard of a new one today that I had never heard about, that Cape Ann Garden Club used for the plugs in their gardens. So that was very exciting.
You know, I think Ray, it sounds like you're thinking about how to convert this idea into regulations that can be enforced. Um, and I think maybe the best way to do this is to start off with maybe some feel-good policies and the planning board
Right.
posting information about this. And then after maybe 3 to 5 years, you start thinking about actually making it a requirement of your subdivision regulations.
Right.
The town may want to adopt a town-wide policy, such as the one here from Somerville, which I put it up again because it does have the definition of native plant, non-native plant, invasive plants, etc.
Is everybody seeing it?
No,
I see
I'm
a,
not seeing it. I saw it
I
started
see
to
it
flash
south,
on
I
us.
see Montana.
You see
Yeah.
what?
We see Montana.
We see Montana.
Oh,
It looks
It's a
beautiful,
nice
but
background.
It's beautiful, yeah.
This is-
Here we
Great
are.
background.
I am so
But
bad
in
at
any
this
case,
now.
Katrina,
yeah,
I agree. I mean, I'm just saying, I'm thinking a future developer comes to us, right, for a pre-application hearing. And
Mhm.
we say, we'd like you to use native plants. And when we say native, this is what we mean. And you can go to, you can talk to West Newbury Wild and Native. They've got
Yes.
suggestions. And then there are these other websites that we trust. I'm just concerned that people go to a nursery and they say, oh, this is our native stuff, and there's stuff in there which isn't really good.
Sure, that's a very good concern, and you know, that does in fact happen. Again, going
Sure.
back to Major Boyd, the fellow came away impressed that Northeast was ready, willing, and able to show them what they thought were natives. As Carol points out, there are some that aren't true natives, but you know, this is all work in progress.
Right.
Again, I'll go back to Cortland when we reminded the developer that he had an obligation to plant trees and shrubs, and yet we had no guidance to him whatsoever. So Larry, God bless him, went down to someplace in Connecticut and pulled back as much cheap material as he could, because why not? No one told him what should be planted. So we ended up with a hodgepodge of stuff, most of it not suitable. There's nothing that says we can't evolve to the place that Somerville is. I mean, Somerville's not that impressive a community.
No.
Someday we may even end up being like Sanibel, where in Sanibel, by ordinance, 80% of everything will be natives, whether it's a development, commercial, or individual. It's
Well,
it's an iterative process that we should consider starting, is my point.
yeah, I only take exception to your characterization of Somerville. Somerville's really been coming
No,
along.
Somerville is
Oh,
very
yeah.
cool. It is very cool. It is very cool. But it is a city, and I think it's wonderful that they've done it. Maybe they've done a better job than we ever will do. But I'd like to think we can actually do a little bit better.
Yeah, I'm proud of stealing good ideas from other communities.
Oh yeah, yeah. But we also have people right here in this community that probably could write the same thing that Somerville came up with,
And better.
and better. Thank you.
Carol, do you think that your group could come up with maybe a plan for the planning
Yes.
board, a step-by-step plan, so baby
Yes.
steps to
Yeah.
introduce it slowly, maybe even in the beginning, just putting notes about prohibiting invasive species or
Right.
to be planted, and then slowly you can create the requirements for
Absolutely.
non-invasives.
Yeah, I think that it's a ongoing discussion, just as
Right.
we talked to the folks about the walls
You need to go outside.
Yep.
and whatnot. That you know, we certainly have good intent, but having some other documentation, you know, will be helpful. We don't know when the next little mini subdivision or large subdivision may
Right.
come before us,
Right.
but you know, it could be something on your guys' list to, you know, not next month, but
Oh
let's
no,
get it
we
done.
need to start working on it. And we have now some groups that have formed. They're still involved with WN2, but we have a group in Merrimack, a group in Groveland now, and actually they were even there before us. They've done a lot of work, but even working with them and saying, okay, can we work on this together? So
Yeah.
I think it'll be a great thing.
And I'd like to reassure you, Carol, that we don't have to wait for anything to be written down to already point people in your direction. I mean,
Great.
it'd be good to have stuff on websites and all this, and
Yeah.
let's work towards that. But in the meantime, very happy to keep this in mind when we're talking
Great.
people.
And our
Cool.
website has a wealth of information on it. West Newbury Wild and Native. Wonderful.
A bit off track, but a corollary is that we should be educating people about maintaining their landscapes in such a way that we're not killing off the creatures that we need to do the pollinating, or create the caterpillars that baby birds eat.
Right.
When I see those mosquito trucks indiscriminately spraying around town, and you think about the other species that are getting killed as well as the mosquitoes, it's something that hasn't been getting talked about. And once we talk about adding back native plants, we need to consider not killing
yeah.
off the insects.
And we really
Sure.
need to figure out ways to start that now, because
Yeah.
it is killing our
Right,
pollinators,
right.
and we can't afford to lose them. It's
Two-
that
two
simple.
So,
quick things.
Yeah, so I've
So-
got a question, Carol. I mean,
Yeah,
since Deb
sure.
brought up the mosquito stuff, I mean,
Yeah.
I really like my next door neighbor, but they always show up. It seems like certainly every month, if not sooner, with this
Truck.
a deer tick truck
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah.
What the hell are they spraying anyway? Is it, you know? He says, "Oh, it's okay stuff," and it
Right.
kills the ticks. I'm thinking it's got to be doing some other damage.
Base or
Well,
something.
what they should be able to provide you with is exactly what they are spraying. You're the neighbor. And
Yeah, well,
that
I
drift
really
goes,
like them.
no, but it would be interesting to just say, so tell me what, do you have a list? I mean, the company should be able to
the
provide a
company should,
list.
the
If I
company
look-
should supply it.
I'm sure it's on the MS
Yeah.
data sheet is on their site, but is that something that you think is contributing to our problems?
Oh, I'm sure it is.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
It's not
When
benign.
when you spray for mosquitoes, you're killing everything that's good.
Everything. Yeah.
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 By the
Absolutely.
way,
Yeah.
two things real quick.
Yeah.
And there's quite a business with that stuff. Boy.
Oh,
Jeez.
And it's because people don't know, but if you can go into all of the big box stores, we're still spraying Agent Orange, basically 2,4-D on our lawns. We still have neonicotinoids. It's one of the new sort of, it's one of the ides, the pesticides. We have herbicides, but neonicotinoids, they were supposed to be the magic plant, the one to get rid of all of the weeds. But what they do now with it and all of the plant problems, neonicotinoids, they can either spray it on the roots, they can spray it on the plant, and they can put it on the seeds, like our corn and soybeans are sprayed with neonicotinoids. This is a systemic killer. And what it does is it goes all the way up the plant into the pollen. So what we're finding, and this is the Xerces Society, which is this fabulous organization. It started in California. It was named after the first, it's actually gone now, the Xerces butterfly. And it was one of the first on the endangered species list. But that's how it started. But they sampled quite a bit. I can't remember now the exact sample count, but it was amazing coming from the horticultural centers. Here are these milkweeds that are full of neonicotinoids. And when the bee goes to the pollen, game over.
Wow.
You know,
There's a couple of things real quick. One
Yeah.
is I've always been against the mosquito spraying program that we have when everybody panics about
right.
problems in the fall, and I don't think it could be effective, and I don't like it. And the other thing is, when I was teaching, I used to talk about rewilding when we got into environmental engineering. And I just there's some big estates in England where they brought back native species, including some of the large mammals, and they're doing very well economically because of things that they do. But one of the first things they noticed was within like 2 years, the number of insects that came back, this constant sound of insects buzzing all around, diversity of insects, and then the birds follow and all this kind of stuff. I mean, it's a huge impact, and there's hardly any. I don't even see very many lightning bugs these days.
No.
Well, even that's what I was going to say, Brian, for your neighbor. It's just if they have kids, it's like, wouldn't you love for them
No.
to see lightning bugs? Oh my God. And, you know, here in the habitat I've created here, I've got lightning bugs.
Oh, yeah.
But, oh, yeah. But,
I have them up here in central New Hampshire, but I don't have them back home anymore.
Well, you have no mosquito trucks up in where
you
your
go.
neck of the woods.
Yeah.
So this is great. This is the beginning of a conversation.
Yes.
I thank you very much, Carol.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for inviting me.
If the board, yeah, and I'm sure you'll be back. You're very popular every place you speak. Guys, what I'd like to do, if you don't mind, is hurry the rest of this along because we got some other stuff.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, Carol.
I'll come back.
Always a
Thanks
treat.
for the invite.
Linda
Thank you very
says
much.
hi.
Appreciate
Oh,
it.
same
Take care.
here. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Do you guys want to finish up the minutes and then we'll go on to the rest of the agenda? Because
Yep, so next we have May 6th minutes.
thank you, guys.
Did anyone have any changes?
Well, hold on. Yeah. It's an abundance. Oh, May 6th. Yeah, this was a longer one.
Right. That was probably my fault. I joined the board then.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm good.
I would just say that there's a sentence down there that says before the next meeting. This is on page 3. It's at the bottom. It's above planning board February 4 minutes. There's a sentence that mentions the next meeting twice. I think you can take out one of the next meetings. It's just repeating the same thing.
Oh, yeah, I see it.
Yeah. So just reword it the right way.
I'll get rid of the last phrase before the next.
Right. The Department of Redundancy Department. So everybody good with those minutes?
Sure.
Yes.
Motion to accept as drafted.
Is there a second?
Second.
Brian seconds. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Ray Cook, aye.
Deb Hamilton, aye.
Brian Murphy, aye.
Rob Phillips, aye. It's unanimous.
And then we have the May 20th minutes.
Anything? Nothing?
Motion to accept as drafted?
Second,
Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none?
Ray Cook, aye.
Deb Hamilton, I.
I'm going to abstain. I missed the meeting, and I just feel better abstaining.
That's your prerogative, Rob Phillips, aye. So that's unanimous with one abstention. Thank you.
Are we caught up now?
We're caught, well.
Yep, we
the
are,
minutes that we got for this meeting. Yeah,
We still have April 1st minutes, which are very long. It was a very long meeting that Jen is still working on. And then, of course, our June meeting. But we have made headway, which I'm happy about.
thanks for the effort.
Outstanding effort. Thank you.
So will we see April 1st possibly at the 7:15 meeting? Do you think?
Possibly, I think so.
Possibly. How do the minutes usually go? Is it onerous to produce minutes, or is it just a matter of having the time to attend to them?
Before this past month, it was very easy because I never touched them. It was all Jen. Jen is doing minutes of several groups now.
Right. Okay.
And she does them at her desk.
Yep.
She does field calls too and get interrupted. And when you're deep into minutes, when you get interrupted, it's hard getting back.
Oh, it's miserable. Miserable. Yeah. Okay. Got it. Thank you. Okay. So you got some community notices here from Haverhill?
We do want me to just summarize them?
Yes.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, this is one from Haverhill. The public hearing is tonight. It's for a zoning amendment to the city's floodplain overlay district. And also tonight, they're holding a public hearing in Haverhill to propose amendments that would provide clarification to the city's solar energy system. Also in Haverhill on June 24th, they have a public hearing for approval to move an existing car rental business from 1184 Main Street to 1187 Main Street,
Going across the street.
Mm-hmm.
I guess. At the same side, isn't it?
No.
Oh, no, it is across. It's across. Wow. Another one from Haverhill for July 8th, and it's to reassign the zoning of 3 contiguous parcels of land from their current zoning of commercial highway to residential medium. And that is proposed by the citizens to keep Amesbury Road a residential neighborhood.
Oh, Amesbury Road. So that's right across the Rocks Bridge.
That'll be a big one.
Amesbury Road or Amesbury Line Road?
Amesbury Road.
So
Amesbury Road.
is that the state highway?
I don't know.
110? Okay,
I
never
do
mind.
not know. Okay, and we do have one from Newburyport being held on July 16th. It is a proposed zoning ordinance amendment to change a parcel from industrial to residential down on Lowell Street at Hale Street, and also to change a parcel at Colby Farm Lane from residential 1 to residential 2. And then lastly, we have a notice from Newbury for a public hearing to be held on June 18th, so tomorrow, for site plan review for a new 40-foot by 40-foot pavilion at 2 to 8 Old Point Road. I do not know where that road is. And that's it for the correspondence.
It's on Plum Island.
It does say Plum Island Overlay District.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Amesbury Road is Route 110 over there, that in Haverhill. So do these notices ever amount to anything for us?
Not usually.
Not
Just,
usually.
just trying to keep up with the neighbors, see what's going
Yeah,
on.
and not be surprised.
So,
by your
Yeah.
so
neighbors.
every time this planning board holds a public hearing, by law, we notify all of the abutters.
Right, right.
And then we notify the surrounding planning boards of the surrounding towns, and so we're all sending them to
Yeah,
all the
yeah, yeah,
towns.
yeah. And my question is a little bit of, having a town planner, the town planner can look at them and see if they actually are germane to us or not. That was the only reason I
Right.
raised that.
Well, what would be germane, do you think? Something
Yeah.
right on the border?
Nothing I've seen before, but anyways.
And usually, Rob, the correspondence thing is, it's very quick.
Yeah, it's one or two, right, right.
It's not a big deal.
Yep.
And I kind of like seeing what's going on. It's interesting. Yeah.
So,
Agreed.
if we're done with that, we've got the, pickleball thing up next, is that true?
Mhm.
Okay, so, of course, Angus is, hoping that we'll take care of our end of it, so, Katrina, how do you want to proceed through this?
So I would suggest scheduling a public hearing for this for the July 15th meeting, 15th.
Yep.
Yes, it's the 15th meeting.
Sounds good.
And you can pick the time.
What
I
else?
think we scheduled the zero middle at 7:15 for the 15th.
How long is zero middle gonna take?
I don't know.
That could be long.
Mhm.
No,
No?
Not really.
We've
No?
been over it
Okay.
a couple of times.
Okay.
yeah, we've hashed out the real issues with Zero Middle Street, I think, in previous meetings. So I would say a half an hour.
Yeah,
Okay.
I would doubt that we'll be voting, but who knows? Yeah, they're coming back with a slightly revamped
Right.
package and whatnot.
No, I only asked because if you think, and I appreciate what you just said, Brian, but if it's like a half hour, then I'm just thinking, would you typically then think that pickleball would follow on at 7:45? That's all I'm thinking about.
Yeah, yeah, probably.
That I think you would be taking a big chance there. I think you should actually put it at like 7:05 and start it and because if they continue, which there's a good chance that zero middle could continue, you're going to be waiting a very long time. You're kind of shooting yourself in the foot.
Oh,
I
I
guess,
see, I see. So you're thinking put pickleball on at 7:05?
right. And if you feel bad, you can always recess in the middle of it and go to the other one if you really want, or you could make them wait.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
So, right, and as always, what we'll try and do is be cognizant of the fact that, the zero middle's got, some visitors that aren't necessarily the same as the town visitors, meaning Angus and staff. So is everybody good with that? 7:05 with the pickleball, and then we'll react?
Well, yeah, I guess my only question is, are you thinking that pickleball is going to take 10 minutes? Discussion?
No, I think what Katrina was saying is that when we'll get the pickleball started, and then 10 minutes into it, you could keep it going and delay the Zero Middle Street, keep those people waiting, or you could decide to recess the pickleball, put it on hold, jump to Zero Middle Street, and then come back to the
Right,
pickleball.
right.
I'm fine with that. Sure.
That's the way I took it too, Ray.
And I mean, I'm glad to see the plans. There's a lot more detail on the pickleball courts that was provided in our weekly package. So
And
it's
I'm helping them with a list of waiver requests too.
good.
Well, if you want to move, make it 7 o'clock. Just 7 o'clock. Why are we doing 7:05?
Sure. So I'll make the motion that we do the site plan review for the pickleball courts starting at 7 o'clock on the July 15th meeting.
Great. Is there a second?
I don't know that we need a vote, but
No, don't we? No?
No,
Just to set the agenda? I don't think so.
no,
No?
no.
Okay, great. So we're all in agreement, it's a consensus.
Yep,
Sound good?
yep.
Okay. So do we need to do anything other than that?
On this
Katrina.
agenda, no.
Okay.
That
So
is it.
we don't have a second meeting this month. Our next meeting is July 15th.
Right.
And I do have an announcement to make. My last day of work will be June 30th.
Oh, no.
It was wonderful working for this board. I've never worked with a board that was so knowledgeable and dedicated to their craft. Sad, but you know what? It'll be new beginnings for me too.
Can we ask you where you're going?
Just home. I don't have
Well,
another
you
job.
will
that I'm
be
going to.
sorely missed, Katrina.
I'll say.
Yeah, we're going
We're
to be
very
looking-
fortunate to have had you as
Yeah.
long as we've had you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I wish you the best in the future, and I hope you get someone really, really good.
Well, big shoes to fill that you're going to leave there. That's for sure. Yeah.
Oh, eight
Yeah.
and a half. They're not too big.
By the way, I appreciate, I mean, you were here during a particularly difficult year this last year. And it was extremely helpful to know that you were there
Mhm.
with your knowledge and your experience, helping us get through that and reassuring some of the residents who, you know, have been understandably concerned about everything. So thank you.
It's a really tough time for planners and planning boards.
Yeah.
Massachusetts has really laid something heavy on your shoulders.
Yeah.
You know, and it's hard, you know, having everyone disliking what you're doing. So
Well,
it's
if you
a
get
tough
any
job.
phone calls from people wondering what kind of a board we are, I hope you'll put in a plug that we like your planners and we'll be nice.
Yeah.
You know, when
Thank
I
you.
came to this job, you got raving reviews from the last planner,
Oh,
Oh,
good.
great. Good.
and she was
Well,
right.
Hope you can keep
Thank
that
you.
going.
Thank you. And I'll drop in probably on Monday. I'll be back.
Okay.
I'll drop in and say hello.
All right.
Oh, how was, I
Rob?
mean, it's not exactly in order, but how was your trip? How were things? Was it great?
The wedding was
Are you
beautiful.
talking to me or who?
Yeah.
yeah, to
Yeah.
you.
Oh, it was wonderful. My daughter's wedding was everything a very country-like girl could dream of. And it's funny because
Wonderful.
my other daughter is getting married in July and has a very fancy wedding that is, she's paying, you know, 12 times as much as my daughter in Montana. And I had to think, is she looking at her sister and saying, why didn't I do this? Because it was
You know, you
beautiful.
can think you're raising your kids exactly the same way. They're not going to be the same kids.
Right,
It's
right.
fun.
So yeah, in the next month, I have to get fitted for a very fancy dress for her wedding.
You're going to look fabulous.
Very different weddings. I wore cowboy boots to my other daughter's wedding.
Yeah, you can wear them under the dress, you know, if it's a long dress, who knows, whatever. You know, God.
Yeah, thank you for asking though. It was a awesome week. It was just beautiful.
That's wonderful.
I'm a little shell shocked here though. So you say you're leaving June 30th?
June 30th. Yep.
So we have no planner.
So
No, we'll start the process again.
Right.
We've been down this
right,
road.
right.
Yeah.
Angus would like you all to know that he's working on making sure that there's help available and we'll go forward. There's going to be a transition for sure. But what I'd say for one thing is let's put together an agenda for 7:15 because there's some other items to go over, including MBTA. And in the interim, yeah, we're going to have to, in some fashion, make sure that nothing is falling by the wayside.
Before I
the way-
leave, I can make sure that that agenda is all
Yeah.
ready
So
to
what
go.
the reason I'm mentioning is I'd like to work with Katrina over the next several days and then float around an agenda for 7:15 because we got to get some stuff on there that is more than just what we've mentioned now. For instance,
Sure.
talking about MBTA, for instance.
Real quick, Rob, is the MBTA process going well, and do you have a
Going
nice set
well.
of parcels to?
So, yeah, so that's one part of the thing, is to make sure that everybody has kind of made sure they got familiar with the work plan for the working group. But the short answer is we've sent 4 parcels off to Merrimack Valley for review. And those 4 include 2 parcels that are town related and 2 parcels that are privately owned. And then, of course, there's the discussion that follows once we find out whether the model indicates that any of the 4 are acceptable. We'll have a discussion of what to submit to the state.
And
And then
is NAP are NAP or Dunn in that group?
Dunn is not. NAP has already been to the state. So the NAP doesn't need to go through the process we're doing right now.
I'm
The
just
process-
wondering if it was still on the table, I guess. is what I'm saying.
So is it on the table? I would suspect that that's going to be part of the discussion that occurs at the back end once we've established that in addition to NAP, there are these 2 or 3 other parcels that also qualify. Yeah, there's going to be a robust discussion at the end. If you go to, this is one of the things I want to make sure. I'm going to get up with Katrina, and there's a couple of documents I want to make sure that you guys are looking at. So that's in ahead of 7:15, but it's not
Also,
too. Go ahead.
I think for the next agenda, I think you need to add an item for maybe committee updates or something.
Yes.
It makes me uneasy you're having this discussion when someone who's
I
looking at
just-
the
I
agenda
just-
may have been interested in listening to you.
It was just under items not reasonably anticipated. I just wanted just a quick little, because it was my understanding that we'd be updated on a regular basis and what was
So
going on.
I'll add that so that any committee member, I think several of you are on different committees.
Yeah.
As representatives for the board, so
Right.
that's
Yeah,
the place where you
updates
make
from
these
committees, sort of a standing thing.
updates.
Right. But that's the thing I want to work. That's an example of the thing I want to work on over the next, say, week, so that we get stuff floated out, so you can react to something in front of you and say, "Oh, why aren't we discussing this? Shouldn't we add this?" That sort of thing. I think we need to do that this for this coming 7:15 meeting, because it's potentially it could have several important items on it. Is my point. It's already got 2. We know that.
Well, not a
Sound
problem.
good?
Sure.
Okay. So anything else tonight?
No, all good here.
You're looking
good.
good. Sunset's going down. It looks nice out.
Well, it's quite cloudy up here, so
Is it?
yeah.
So,
hopefully
okay.
you get better weather down
I
there.
I had knee surgery on Thursday and
Oh.
and I'm walking around okay today, so it's all good.
Right.
It's a good day. It's a good day.
What do they do?
They got in there and cleaned out a bunch of stuff.
Did a little, yeah.
Arthroscopic?
Arthroscopic,
Yeah.
meniscus
Okay.
cleaning and a couple
Yeah.
of cysts removed. And yeah, I'm still planning to cycle in Austria in August.
Wow.
Cool.
Oh boy. Wow. Well, good for you. Jeez.
All right. Is that it? Move we adjourn?
Someone's got to make a motion, right?
Well,
Oh.
Deb made it. Is there a second?
second.
I'll second it. By the way, Rob, the chair by Robert's rules and all that, you can make motions too.
Oh, I know that.
Okay,
But
all right.
but I'm looking to take the lead of more experienced people.
He can also just adjourn the meeting.
No,
Well-
no, we have to have the motion.
Yeah, we got
No, I
to.
can't sleep well unless we make a motion.
Right. And I'm certainly not going to take that tact, at least not the first meeting, Katrina. So anyways, we are adjourned. Let's resolve. We're adjourned. Okay.
All right, good night,
Unanimous.
everyone.
Good night,
Thank
everybody.
you, Katrina. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Katrina.
Thanks, everyone.
See ya. Take care.
Take